Welcome to Fireside Giants. My name is Alex with my co-host here, Anthony Rivardo. Just days away from the Giants versus the Falcons, Eli Manning's jersey retirement game. We're going to be there. Make sure to let us know where you're going to be at. We want to stop by, have a beer, talks the football, talks about this Giants football team. But today we got some news. We got Jason Garrett talking about why Kadarius Toney isn't playing. We have an offensive lineman change. We have a couple guys hitting IR. We have a couple other guys on the injury report. Logan Ryan, �kenny Golladay kind of making their way there. Some negativity brewing right now, but also we have hopeful expectations for this game against the Falcons. We spoke about their defense yesterday, how awful they are. They've allowed 40 points average over the first 2 weeks, 48 last week. Matt Ryan threw 2 pick sixes last week to Tampa Bay. This is a team that is very much beatable. This is a team that the Giants should beat, but I'm not going to say the Giants are going to win this game because we've gone down that road. We don't want to do it again. Limiting our expectations, but hoping for the best is what my mantra is nowadays with this New York Giants football team. But we know the coaching staff has to play better. We have to eliminate the mental errors and really get on top of this scheme, on top of these players, and really play to their strengths. And hopefully they're going to do that this upcoming week, Anthony. Before we dive into all this news, Matt Peart, potential position change here, some guys hitting IR. How you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing well. I do think this is a beatable opponent and a winnable game on Sunday. I'm in the same boat as you. That doesn't mean I'm guaranteeing a win or even predicting a win. I'm just saying this is a game that the Giants should win, but we also do have a lot of confounding variables considering Kenny Golladay is questionable. Logan Ryan is questionable. Nick Gates done for the year. We knew that was happening. Potentially a career-ending injury. We've definitely got to discuss that. And, of course, Shane Lemieux now seems to be done for the year. Joe Judge kind of walked back on that statement, said he might not be done for the year, but it seems like he's going to be out for a very long time regardless. So I'm assuming Ben Bredesen starting at left guard on Sunday, Billy Price at center on Sunday. I got to tell you, that scares the living hell out of me because I have watched the film. I have gone back and looked. Billy Price might have been the worst center in football on Sunday. I know Pro Football Focus has him ranked as that. I watched the film. He looked terrible, and I'm very concerned for this offensive line going forward. We're going to discuss all of that. And then, of course, we're going to do a little bit of discussion on Matt Peart, my guy. You guys know how much I love Matt Peart. He is my guy, and then we're going to do discussion on Kadarius Toney, another one of those players that I was really high on coming out of college, who's now on the Giants, but not being used at all. So hopefully he can get involved on Sunday. I think this would be a perfect week for him to get involved, for him to get a touchdown. We've talked about it. The Falcons' defense is terrible. As Alex mentioned, they're averaging 40-plus points allowed. So if there's ever a week for Kenny Golladay, Kadarius Toney, Daniel Jones to have themselves a game, it's going to be this week. So I'm really looking forward to that. Of course, I'm looking forward to being at that game. I got a flight in 2 days. I can't wait flying up to New York and hang out with Alex. Hopefully, we're going to see a lot of you guys in the parking lot of MetLife. Can't wait. Super excited. It's going to be a fun weekend. Hopefully, we can cap it off with the Giants W.
Absolutely. That's exactly what we're hoping for. But let's dive into Nick Gates for a second. I don't want to linger too much on it because it is very sad news. But if you guys remember Rich Subert's injury from a long time ago in 2003, he had a spiral fracture in his leg. Whenever you see an injury like that, it immediately brings my mind to Alex Smith in that leg injury and how bad it was and what can happen, the complications. Nick Gates is undergoing another surgery today. And basically, Joe Judge said, I'd be lying if I said no in terms of could it be a career-ending injury. And I think for the most part, Nick Gates is fighting really hard to get back to his normal self, but it's going to take at least a year. In my opinion, luckily, the only positive thing you can ever actually come up with in this scenario is that basically it's not ligament damage, it's a broken bone. And when you have a broken bone heals just as strong, if not stronger. Ligaments never return to the same strength. That's the only positive I can think of when it comes to like a season-ending injury like this. But again, there's always possibility for complications. Nick Gates is a tough son of a gun. Didn't even shed a tear going off the field after snapping his leg in half. I have to say, I'm sending him the most positivity, best vibes possible. If there's anyone that can come back from this, it's Nick Gates for sure. But again, it really is a sad situation. 25-year-old undrafted free agent turned into a captain and an offensive starter. Really a big guy for this team to go in and play center and go in and play left guard and do a lot of things. And for the most part, he's a leader on this team. And to see him go down like this and all the love going around for him definitely is nice to see. But Anthony, how big of an impact does this loss Nick Gates have on this offensive line? Now we're down 2 starters. Shane Lemieux also just underwent season-ending surgery They believe at least he underwent surgery to correct that patellar tendon. So, where do you go from here? Do you feel confident? What's the impact on Nick Gates, the loss there in the trenches, and who can really step up and supplement it?
Yeah, this is a huge loss of Nick Gates, and I gotta say, it just frustrates the hell out of me because he should have never been in that position. He should have never been playing left guard. The Giants should have fixed this offensive line in the offseason. They should have added some better depth there, added some better depth at center behind Nick Gates. He should have never been put in that position. And really, what happened to me, if you watch the play where it happened, he got driven back terribly. It looked like he had never played left guard in his life because he hasn't. And so he was getting worked on that play. And then the guy next to him playing center also got beat, freak injury. Guy falls, topples over, cracks his leg in half. It sucks, but also he shouldn't have been in that position. And a player that knows how to play left guard is likely not getting walked back 7 yards into the quarterback's lap the way that Nick Gates was. So it just shouldn't have happened. He shouldn't have been playing there. We can't dwell on it too much. It did happen, so we just kind of have to move forward. It's horrible. I pray for him. I'm wishing him speedy recovery and a thorough recovery, and I really hope to see him hit the field once again for the Giants sometime in the future. But right now, things are uncertain, especially for the Giants offensive line that was a captain this year. Nick Gates he earned the captain's patch this offseason. He's a tremendous, leader. He's a really good player when he's playing healthy and he's playing at the best of his ability. I think that he is a good center. I don't know why they put him at left guard. If you remember, Alex, I was never too crazy about that in the first place. I would prefer to leave him at center and, if anything, move Will Hernandez back to left guard since he isn't even playing that well at right guard right now. The whole situation just really sucks. But going forward, how are the Giants going to supplement this loss? Their real only options are Matt Skura and Billy Price. And let's just go with anyone but
Give me
Billy Price is
Skura.
my
Give me
mindset.
Skura.
Yes, give me
Give me Skura.
Skura.
He's not
I
a
don't
bad
want to see
player.
Billy Price. Skura is decent, and he played for the top rushing offense in the NFL last year, or the second
And we
best
need
because the
that help.
Titans were king last year. Baltimore Ravens last year, that's who he played for. He had a pretty decent year. He is at least an average starter, replacement level starter. Billy Price is just not that. Like, not at this point in his career, maybe not ever. He has not panned out. I know he was a former
He's a
first round
bad
pick.
player.
He has never played like a first round pick. He is a bad player, and I don't think that he should be starting for the Giants. Every time he's out there, I'm scared that Daniel Jones is about to get hit. So I hope that the Giants go ahead with Matt Skura. I think that he's a better player. But again, this is a huge loss to this team, huge loss to this offensive line. The absence of Nick Gates is going to be felt, but I just really hope that Matt Skura is able to step in and play well, and that Daniel Jones is able to continue to play well under pressure, because the only reason he had such a good game on Thursday is because he played really well under pressure. If he can continue to do that, the Giants might be okay, but if the pressure starts to get to him and he starts to crumble and make bad plays under pressure, with this offensive line, he's going to be under pressure a lot, and it's just going to get ugly if he's not able to handle that properly. So, yeah, I mean, prayers up to Nick Gates, man. This is a really crappy situation, but hopefully these guys that we're not too high on can prove us wrong.
Yeah, you know what? I'll say this. I think that when you're looking at Billy Price, he's never proven he can be a good player at the NFL level. He's always struggled. And what he looked like last week was awful. And I will say this too. The guy that fell on Nick Gates' leg destroyed Billy Price. I'm not blaming Billy Price for this whatsoever, but what I am saying is it like the Giants decided we're moving Nick Gates out of his strong point position, which we both agreed was not a good idea. We were like, keep him at center, man. This is like we're already shifting guys around the offensive line. This is a big indication the Giants had no idea what was going on in the trenches. They had no idea. General Manager Dave Gettleman had no idea. The coaching staff way too optimistic on a unit that had no chemistry together for the most part, and so little this. Like, and if they were all healthy, maybe Shane Lemieux would have been better. But the reality is, like, they just didn't have enough depth. They didn't have enough talent to supplement any of these injuries and whatnot. I was optimistic they'd play better. And I will say Will Hernandez and Andrew Thomas are playing better. They are actually serviceable at this point in the season, but
Andrew Thomas looks phenomenal to
a
me.
lot
Every time
better.
I
A
watch him,
lot
I'm
better.
so impressed with his film. I really am.
Exactly. And I'll say this too. Nate Solder, we never wanted him to start. We always wanted Matt Peart to start, but Nate Solder was always the guy that had more veteran experience. He was probably going to have a little bit better of a time adapting. And I know Anthony does not like this. I know that we're gonna segue into this Matt Peart situation in a minute here, but I do want to leave off saying this: Matt Skura will end up being the starting center this season. Bet on it. If there's a player prop bet that Matt Skura will be starting by week 4 or 5, bet on it, because Billy Price is trash. Trash. He is a walking trash bin. At center, at guard, he is terrible. I do not trust him one bit. Matt Skura was once thought to be one of the up-and-coming best centers in the league before he suffered an injury, and he really had a tough time coming back last year with Baltimore. He played left tackle and center last year for Baltimore. He actually was a really good run blocker. He just had some trouble in inconsistencies as a pass blocker, but he's healthy now. He's learning the scheme. I think that he's going to end up being a starter here. This is a guy that is better than Billy Price, and they just need him to learn the scheme. They practice squad, they protected him, and now he's on the active roster. I would not be surprised to see him rotating with Billy Price, if not starting this week already. And I will say this, Ben Bredeson, while he's not a great player, he's a decent run blocker. He just needs more reps in the system, man. He just needs more time to gel. Needs more time to get some stuff going. But what I will say is putting him next to Billy Price doesn't help anybody. You know, when you're putting Ben Bredeson and Billy Price next to each other, what do you expect is going to happen? It's going to be a disaster. I'd rather have Skura and Ben Bredeson and see how they gel. It's a better combo, in my opinion. The Giants are quickly going to realize that and make that change. Anthony, do you have any last thoughts before we move on to Matt Peart and what they're trying to do with him?
I definitely want to dive right into Matt Peart, but I think this whole conversation that we're having does speak largely to the Giants' inability to upgrade the offensive line in the offseason. They just neglected the position group and said, oh, we believe in these guys, these young guys. We're going to develop them. They're going to be good. A lot of us were like, are you sure? And now we think that they were completely wrong. I think it speaks largely to the Giants' mishandling of certain parts of this offseason. We can give them credit for some signings that they made defensively and in the playmaking group, but the lack of attention paid to the offensive line, we knew it was going to come back to bite us, and right now we are witnessing that in real time. The Giants are now starting 2 backups on the offensive line. They were already set to start one with Shane Lemieux. Shane Lemieux is a backup level player. Now he's hurt. Now we have a backup who some believe is somehow worse than Shane Lemieux starting in his place. Nick Gates down for the year. Now we have another backup starting in his place. Our offensive line is very poor, and the Giants really should have put an emphasis on improving that this offseason. Instead, they chose to neglect it, and we are feeling that decision right now in real time.
Basically, and now they're trying to supplement that left guard spot with, let's try and cross-train Matt Peart. And look, and I know Anthony's going to freak out over this, and I do want to kind of be the devil's advocate in this situation. I don't hate the move. I don't hate the idea of cross-training him at guard. And the reason is, if he's not going to play, you might as well be trying to help him earn a starting gig elsewhere, right? At another spot on the line, what's the hurt? You know what I mean? If they're rolling with Nate Solder, and I know that you think, and I actually agree with you on this, they should just be playing Matt Peart and over Solder immediately. Solder has been pretty bad. I think that Peart couldn't be that much worse. They should just be starting him and letting him develop. But if they're not going to let him do that, then try and cross-train him. Try and move him to left guard. I know he's a 6'7", like 320-pound guy. He's really, really big to be playing guard. But there's a lot of players that are his size that have had success in the past. You know, I'm talking about like Brandon Brooks. He's 6'5", 340 pounds, one of the best guards in the game. And I'll say, like, you can be that big and that good in the interior. It depends on the scheme, though. Like, if you're running inside zone, I think Matt Peart would actually be pretty good for that. He's fast, he's quick, he's a big body. I think that he might actually be a decent guy for that. I think he has the speed for it. You know, that was the problem with Will Hernandez last year, and why Shane Lemieux ended up starting at left guard at some point, because Shane Lemieux was faster. He could pull over in those power gap schemes, and I think that, you know, Peart has the speed and agility to do that. It's just going to be a really big transition for him, and I think that he'll be able to hold his own against bigger interior defensive tackles, rather than faster speed rushers on the outside, which is what he really has issues with. So maybe he could be better on the interior. But Anthony, you know, when you're looking at it, like, I imagine your argument's basically like he should just be playing tackle over Nate Solder to begin with. We shouldn't even be talking about this.
Yes, he should just be playing tackle over Nate Solder. I don't know why Nate Solder's still starting. Nate Solder, to me, looks like a guy who's played left tackle for 10 years and is now trying to play right tackle, and he can't do it because his drive leg is inconsistent, and he doesn't know how to play the position because he's been playing the other position for 10 years. This is stupid. The Giants are really being... Okay, listen. I understand Brandon Brooks is a really good big left guard, or right guard, rather. You said he's 6'5". Do you know how tall Matt Peart is? How big that man is? He is 6'7" with an 86.5-inch wingspan. If you're
He's
playing
massive.
guard, it's a very compact area. You're basically standing in an elevator. When you're playing tackle, you have all of the space to use your wingspan and push the pocket, push people away from the pocket, and just use your quick feet and glide the defender away. When you're playing guard, you have to keep it tight. You have to Dude, he is way too big for that position. It doesn't make sense. He cannot play that. He should be playing tackle. He should be playing a right tackle. His drive leg is good for the right tackle position. He has great feet. They really just need to coach him to use his hands better. They've helped Andrew Thomas. His hands are getting better. They can do the same thing with Matt Peart. You want to know what the real thing is with Matt Peart? And this is like going to sound so bizarre to the Giants, but probably make a lot of sense to everybody else. He needs live reps. He's not going to get better playing the position until you let him play the goddamn position. Let him go out there, start at right tackle, and play some right tackle. You can't keep being afraid of him and not playing him because he's never going to get better unless you let him play. He needs to learn. He needs to face real competition. I don't care if he got worked in the preseason. Let him get worked in the regular season. Put a tight end over the right tackle every single play. Put a running back on the right side of Daniel Jones every single play. I don't care. Nate Solder is horrible. He's a liability out there. What's the difference between going with a 31-year-old liability and a 23-year-old liability? Well, the 23-year-old has a chance to improve. The 31-year-old is a washed-up piece of trash. Get him off the goddamn field. Put the young guy out there. Let him learn how to play the position. We literally have not even given him an opportunity to prove himself. We have not even let him improve. We are literally just letting him sit on the sideline and twiddle his thumbs. Let him go out there. Let him face some competition. Let him learn how to play the position. He's young. He has an outrageously perfect body to play the position. He has very quick feet. He has everything that an offensive tackle needs to be successful. Coach him. Do your damn job. Coach him. Let him go out there, play the position, and let him succeed. They are holding him back. They are setting him up for failure by refusing to actually let him play. Let him play. He'll get live reps. Andrew Thomas, first 8 weeks of last season, was terrible. The worst left tackle in the league. Second half of the season, upper half of tackles in the league. He was so much better. You know why? Because he had 8 weeks to work out the kinks. He got 8 full weeks of starting level snaps to learn how to play the position. Go through the live reps. Get beat. Get a couple wins. Learn how to learn from his mistakes. He learned from his mistakes for 8 weeks, and then he turned it around. And now look at him. He's our best offensive lineman. He's playing better than any of the starting 5 players. Andrew Thomas is such an improved player. And the reason why is because they let him go out there for 16 games and struggle and lose and have some wins here and there, but struggle and find his way back and figure out how to play NFL offensive tackle. They have not done that with Matt Peart. They're too scared to let him go out there. I understand he's dealt with some injuries. It's not an excuse. Andrew Thomas has already gone out there and dealt with some injuries, and now look at him. He played through them, and he is a healthy and much better player. Matt Peart can have the exact same turnaround if we let him, but the Giants are refusing to let him. Let the man play. Let him learn how to play right tackle in the NFL. He played it really well in college. I understand the level of competition was significantly different because he was playing at UConn. We gave him a year. He had some snaps last regular season, 150 snaps, not cutting it. And he's not going to get better until he plays. So the Giants, stop trying to make Nate Solder work. The only reason that he's on this roster in the first place is because Dave Gettleman handed him one of the worst contracts of all time, and now he's stuck on this team, so we have to leave him here. We don't want him on the field. Stop putting him on the field and setting us up for failure. Put the young guy out there with the ceiling that's way higher than this washed-up piece of trash. Let the young player with potential realize his potential by playing and experiencing NFL football and learning how to get better. I just don't get it, Alex. They're holding him back. They're not letting him play. It is stupid. Now they're like, oh, let's try him at guard since we feel comfortable with Nate Solder at right tackle. Are you kidding me? You feel comfortable with Nate Solder at right tackle? Dude, now you want to play Matt Peart, this 6'8" behemoth at left guard? That doesn't even make sense. First of all, you're changing his drive leg again, which the Giants keep doing with these offensive linemen. If you're doing a kick slide with your right leg, it's so much different than doing it with your left leg. You can't just switch over to the other side of the line. So if he's going to switch to left guard, that's just stupid. But then the fact that he's even moving inside to guard when he's 6'8", it's a compact zone. He needs to have short area quickness. His legs are literally just way too large to make that type of movement. He will literally move one way and he'll move way too far because he can't take such short steps without tripping over his feet because he's 6'7.5" with an 86.5-inch wingspan. He is built to play right tackle. He's the perfectly built right tackle. I know I went on this big tangent. I'm just really frustrated about this. The Giants have completely mishandled the first year and a half of Matt Peart's career. It's getting to a point where if they don't do something about it soon, his career will be ruined by them. They need to just start letting him play right tackle and get Nate Solder off the field. Nate Solder is not an NFL level player anymore. He's too old. He's too washed up. He took an entire year off of football, and even before that, he wasn't playing well. It's time to let this young player learn how to play and earn his position.
Legendary rant. Legendary Matt Peart rant. And I'd say, the Giants trying to test out Matt Peart at left guard, it like makes sense because they're already messing it up in the first place. You know what I mean? Like they're already doing the thing that makes no sense. So why not make it make sense in another way? Like their logic with this offensive line and building it and a lot of the things they're doing right now are just so backward. And like when you have people on Twitter calling you out and like getting it right, it's confusing. You know what I mean? It's like, wait a second. Like the Twitter managers aren't supposed to be right. They're supposed to be wrong. Why are they right? That's the problem. Like that the average Joe is figuring out this team faster than the coaching staff and the general manager. So now we're in a place. We have a really tough portion of the schedule coming up. We're trying to shift guys around. Dave Gettleman only 2 months ago said we feel a lot better about this offensive line. And some people said, right? Some people saying, oh, the offensive line's playing a lot better than we expected. Did you know that they lead the NFL in sacks allowed right now? Did you know that? Did you know that their offensive line is still absolute trash?
It's
I
because
don't
we
think most people
expected them
realize
to
that.
lead in like a wide margin. They're leading, but
Right.
we expected it to be way worse. But
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We expected it to be Trader Joe's turnstile bad, and they ended up being like grandma checking out bags bad. Like they're still bad, guys. Don't get it twisted. They're still awful. They're just not as bad as we thought they'd be. So like that's where the context comes into play, that we are so deluded. We're so deluded into how bad that they can look that we actually think that they look good right now. You know what I mean? As a unit, I'm talking about. And like, when I look at Andrew Thomas, he looks a lot better. He looks better. And that's the main reason why we're not awful. If you took Andrew Thomas and put last year's Andrew Thomas there, we would be in absolute disarray. We would be a mess. Daniel Jones would be running for his life. The only reason he has even a slightest bit of time in the pocket is because his blind side isn't being blown up every second like it was last year. You realize how important having a left tackle is, why it's one of the most important positions in the league and most expensive positions in the league, because you need a guy to hold it down there. Before we go, I just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor. You want to get an advantage over your sports book, you need to download BetQL, the only app you'll need to make smart bets. Their best bet computer model scans over 350K unique bets per year to give you a best bet recommendation for every game across all major sports and gives you the reasoning behind why you should place the bet. There is sharp data so you can see what the pros are backing, line movement so you can jump on betting opportunities in real time. Head over to the App Store or Google Play Store now to download BetQL right now. You can also head to try.betql.co/fireside to get started. Enter the discount code FIRESIDE at payment checkout for 25% off any subscription offerings. You can find all of this information in the description of this video. Make sure to check out their BetMGM offer in the description in order to receive a free year of BetQL. Also check out the Sportsbook offers page if you live in one of the eligible states to claim free offers upon signing up at one of the many sportsbooks listed. Don't miss your chance to beat your sportsbook this football season. Been crushing it in baseball. I'm still on a winning streak for about 2 weeks now. I've been absolutely fantastic. Their grading system's awesome, so definitely go check that out, my friends. Let's wrap this up really quickly with a quick injury report on Kenny Golladay, Logan Ryan. Logan Ryan has a slight hamstring injury. Kenny Golladay picked up a hip issue, something he's been dealing with in the past, Anthony. Is this concerning? Already hamstring injury, already a hip issue. Are you feeling a little worried that Kenny Golladay is just therefore injury prone? Is he somebody, I mean, this is something that he's proved over his career. He's capable of being a great player, but what is with the guy, man? He can't stay freaking healthy.
The hip injury concerns me deeply because that is the one that kept him out of last season. He injured his hip last year and he missed 10 games. That's a problem if his hip is flaring up, because we were told his hip was fully healthy. That's why they signed him. They did the medical checks. He's fine. He's not going to be injury prone. Well, he looks a little injury prone. And the fact that this hip is back on the injury report, super concerning. I mean, I don't know what to make of that. I hope that it's nothing major. I hope maybe it's just a little sore and he's going to go out there and play and hopefully have a good game. If there's any game for him to have a good game, it's this Atlanta game. So I don't know, man. I am concerned. The hamstring was one thing. He's had hamstring problems in the past as well, but the hip is really concerning considering it kept him out for the majority of the 2020 season when he was with the Detroit Lions. So hopefully it's nothing major, maybe just a bump or a bruise and maybe just some soreness. But I'm really hoping that he's able to play on Sunday because if he doesn't, who knows when he'll come back, because that's what happened with Detroit. He missed one game. Then they're like, okay, is he coming back next week? Okay, is he coming back next week? And then he was just out for the whole year. So really hoping that's not going to be the case with Kenny Golladay. We spent a lot of money on him, and I got to make sure that this guy gets on the field because if not, Giants fan base is going to get really, really angry.
Yeah, and also while we're at it, screw Jason Garrett. Just casual screw Jason Garrett, because what he said today really pissed me off about Kadarius Toney. He was like, this is what he said about Kadarius Toney, which really got me angered. He said Kadarius hasn't played a lot of football for us. He missed the spring. He missed most of training camp. He practiced about 3 days before the season started. So he's a young player who's learning. That's why Kadarius Toney hasn't been playing. Meanwhile, go look at Odell Beckham Jr., who missed the first 4 weeks of his rookie season with a hamstring injury, missed all of preseason, barely practiced, and had one of the best seasons of a rookie could ever have. You know what I mean? Give your guy reps. I mean, he's on the field. Give him a couple of targets. Give him some action. If he's going to be taking snaps, going to be on the field for 19 reps through 2 games, at least target him once. Get the ball in his hands. See what he can do. In the first game, they literally gave him an end around. They gave him a quick bubble screen. Just do more than that. Let him run a route. Let him run a slant. Let him run a whip route. Let him run a seam route. Just throw the ball to him once. Get him a little bit of action. Let him take a football hit. I don't really get this logic. People are like freaking out because I tweeted out. I was like, Jason Garrett says Kadarius Toney essentially isn't playing because he didn't practice. Meanwhile, Kenny Golladay and Saquon Barkley missed the majority of the offseason too. Did not really know the scheme. Saquon Barkley missed all of last year. He does not have any experience in Jason Garrett's scheme. And people are like, oh, but it's a veteran versus a rookie. I'm like, well, OBJ missed the first 4 weeks of the season, came back, was an absolute beast immediately. Like rookies, this is what they do. Like Joey Bosa, remember during his rookie season, Nick Bosa. No, Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa held out his entire rookie offseason, came into the team in like week 1 and was totally fine. You're a first round freaking player. You're being drafted because you can make an impact now. You're not a 6th round player who's like, oh, he's a young player. He needs to learn. No, you know what I mean? No, just get him involved. This is one of your offensive premier talents, and you're talking about this nonsense. It's ridiculous. I don't believe it. I'm not in the boat that it's NFL versus rookie versus veteran crap. I'm not in it.
Yeah, and another thing that I'll say, we heard a lot from Joe Judge and Jason Garrett. Oh, he's been phenomenal in the room. He's been a great student. He's learning the playbook. He is a great, learner. He's a great student. He's doing a good job behind the scenes. Maybe he's not practicing, but he is learning the playbook and doing such a great job. But now we're hearing, oh, he doesn't know the playbook. He doesn't know the scheme. He doesn't have any live experience with it. Okay, I get that he doesn't have any live experience. But these guys are not going to get better until you play them. Matt Peart, Kadarius Toney, everybody. Put them on the field. Let them learn how to play in the scheme. Give them the live game reps. Give them the live action. Give them experience. Experience is the best teacher. They're not going to improve until you give that to them. Kadarius Toney, Matt Peart, same thing. Put Kadarius Toney on the field. Let some plays go his way. Actually design him into the play. Don't just make him some gadget player. You did not spend the first round pick on a player to make him a gadget player. Did you really? If you did, then we have to reevaluate everybody. We have to reevaluate the GM, the head coach, the offensive coordinator, defense coordinator, everyone who was in that room and let that happen. The head scout, the assistant GM. You don't spend a first round pick on a gadget player that you don't even plan on using as a primary piece of your offense. So the Giants need to get Kadarius Toney involved. Again, if there's any game to do that, it's this game versus the league's worst defense. He could have a field day. The Giants just need to let him do it. Let him play. Give some plays to him. Let him play slot receiver. Don't just make him this gadget end around guy. Let him actually play his position. He played so much slot receiver in college, and he was good. He ran good routes. He can run some good routes. Just let him do it. He needs the opportunity. The Giants aren't giving it to him, but hopefully they'll change their mind and give it to him Sunday. But these quotes from Garrett, these quotes from everybody on Kadarius Toney are just confusing. I'm in the same boat as you, Alex. I don't agree with he's not a veteran. He's played football all his life. He knows what he's doing. Like, he's played football. It's not like he's never played football before. He has played it. He's been in the meetings. He's been to every, practice behind the scenes, even if he's not practicing. He's learning the playbook according to them. So he must be ready enough to at least go out there and do something. Let him do something. Let him play.
Yep, I agree. And guys, Once again, thank you to our sponsor, BetQL, the only app you need to beat your sportsbook. Find their information along with a 25% off discount code in the description of this video, and also check out their special BetMGM offer in the description in order to receive a free year of BetQL and other sportsbook sign-up offers and bonuses. Also, make sure to subscribe below on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube, and we'll catch you guys on the next New York Giants video.